It's Ken again. This is number 3, I think, maybe number 4. On Thursday, February 27th, 2025, I'm putting on my thinking cap to teach. Tom Terrific. I bought a new hat for Tom Terrific hat, but it's too small. I have to go to the hat store, and so I can buy a new hat of Tom Terrific. Look him up, you'll know what I'm doing. He wore a hat which is basically a funnel. Tom Terrific, that is cartoon character from the 50s. Okay. I'm going to play a 3.5-minute video that is going to have an earned PhD you have to listen to his credentials. It's short. He's walking into, obviously, a university small lecture room. It doesn't say, I don't think, but he's going to tell you, as a seriously high-ranking medical doctor, just what these shots are going to be doing to us. Now, listen to his credential. He's got something like 34 published books. You know, he's the head of this, the head of that. And so I'm going to play him right now. I've got him queued up. And I'm going to let you hear the introduction because it's not that long, and it'll give you the idea of the setting he is speaking in. He walks up, stands at a microphone. It's a rather tight shot, so you can't see too many people around him. I don't think many people were there. But see, he's been ostracized, lied about. Hey, my family did that to me. But his reason, a godly reason, I don't know if he's a Christian, but he is certainly a humanicist. See, I've lost the word, but I'm tired. But the nice thing about this video, it'll be very short, and it'll be someone else talking, so you don't have to listen to someone fumble with further words like me. Bring it up, and start it. Let's hope it plays in. If not, it's only 3.5 minutes long. Listen carefully, and then go back and listen again. It's only 3.5 minutes of who this man is and what he says about the COVID shot. The COVID shot. Not COVID just, but the COVID shot. Starting now.
Each other. For the next person.
Here he comes to the podium. Or microphone.
Disappointed. My name's Dr. Sean Brooks, PhD, Oxford. I have 48 publications, including 23 books. I've studied health, medicine, anatomy, and physiology for approximately 21 years. Dr. Robert Malone, who created the messenger RNA vaccine, has said no one should ever take these jabs, ever, under any circumstance whatsoever. He created it, and he says don't ever do it. So let me explain what's going to happen to the people who have taken it. The people who have taken it are going to die in the next 6 months to 3 to 5 years. For 3 reasons. Number 1, you have dramatically decreased your own immune system by 35%. The first jab did it by at least 15. The second did it by 35 now. If you take any booster shot, you will die. That's it. You take a flu shot in the future, you will die. The second reason, antibody-dependent enhancement. Antibody-dependent enhancement is what is happening with these jabs with everybody who has taken them. Unless, of course, you've taken a placebo. But there's no way that you would know that. So given that fact, antibody-dependent enhancement tricks the entire body into believing that the cell that's eating the pathogen is eating it when it isn't. It ends up leading to what's called a cytokine storm, which causes organ failure. That will cause your death, and there's no stopping that. No amount of drugs will stop that. The third thing, blood clotting. Everyone who has taken the jabs is blood clotting. If you don't believe me, there's a way you can find out. Take what's called a D-dimer test. What that does is that detects blood clotting at the microscopic level. They're cutting full blood clots out of people right now. As I'm talking to you, millions have died from the jabs. In your last meeting, you advocated for people to take the jabs potentially in the future, along with wearing masks. And I heard parents say the same thing. So to the parents who are actually considering jabbing their own children, you're going to sterilize them permanently. People who have taken the jabs are sterilized. 80% of women who have been jabbed have lost their children in the first trimester. You can't have kids. You've also injected yourself with the equivalent of HIV. You can now no longer breastfeed, donate blood, donate organs, donate blood plasma, nor bone marrow. If you don't believe me, try to donate blood and blood plasma and find out what happens. You will be denied. Unless, of course, you live in California, in which case they're allowing people to donate toxic blood with spike proteins in it. The jabs create spike proteins. They're in the jabs themselves, and they create it by snapping your RNA.
He's trying to keep the Illuminati off his back by using the term jabs, okay? It's a common dodge that people like me and this doctor have been using for years, but it's gotten to the point we can simply just say shots or vaccinations. But this is about 3 years old. When he says you will die, he means you will die within a very short time, not weeks, months, but more like 3 to a half a dozen years for some of you.
In half. You are no longer a human. And themselves, and they create it by snapping your RNA in half. You are no longer a human anymore. You are something else. And you are susceptible to countless diseases. Now here's what's going to happen in the future very quickly.
You have 15 seconds.
Great. I don't know what percentage of your staff has taken the jabs, but your school is going to close. You will not stay open. You will close because they will fall ill and they will die. That will happen in all of your buildings. It's already happening.
All right, thank you, sir.
I bet it is. It's already happening.
Sir.
Good luck.
Thank you.
Nothing can stop what's
Thank
coming.
you, sir.
Okay. What he was alluding to.
It fall down.
Stop it.
When
Stop
they
it.
fall down, they do a few.
I can't stop a video like I used to be able to by clicking on it. I have to go to the actual thing. Now I have to find. Okay, here I am. I'm back. But this guy, he just told you. You heard his credentials. You know, look, he's published for a reason in the medical journals and in books. Because this guy's a doggone genius. And he actually said, you're not going to be human anymore. That's what I'm saying. Can the sacrifice of Christ and Christ as a kinsman redeemer who died only for people, humans, pure humans along the line and genetical line of our very forefathers, Adam and Eve, can they qualify for the salvation that stands ready to save, in my opinion, only humans? I don't want to even say this, but I am, because it needs considered. Now this medical doctor said you're not going to be human anymore. So you people who got the shot, and I would believe the majority of the shots, but vast majority, was to change your DNA. Now see how clever you are that you went out and took these shots and laughed at jokers like me? Say, don't do it. They're conspiracy. And you run out there and let them put whatever in your veins. And then you take your kids out. The poor little guys and girls, you get them a shot. Well, how clever. Do you see how stupid America is? You shouldn't have done that. Easily led around by a ring in your nose like a dumb animal. By the media, who's complicit, more than part, but basically the whole doggone secret enemies within, aka the fifth column in America. Don't let these people go. They are guilty of killing your children and you and your brothers and your sisters by encouraging them, tricking them even to get the shot, while they themselves knew never to let their children or themselves take one of these so-called vaccines. And another point, you can play this, you can roll this back and play it any time you want. And I suggest you do. But if someone with his credentials stood up in front of me and a few people and said what he said, I would have thrown timing of speakers and the whole deal out the door. Because what he said in 3 minutes, basically, he yelled fire in the auditorium. Fire! You're going to die. In so many words, he yelled fire. Urgent, deadly, credentials to back it up. And they just trotted along at an intellectual debate within a university. They just kept trotting along down the road so they could get the next speaker in without delay. And that's like, I'll have to give you an analogy because some of you people out there, if you're watching me, you're waking up. Or you're already awoke. Not like the new, these dummies, the woke people are. No. They stole that from us, from the conspiracy, the students of the conspiracies. That's what we are. The investigators of the conspiracy. No more theorists. What I'm telling you, if you got half a brain, you know it's not a theory. What I'm telling you. And so it's at first, yeah, it was, because we had nothing to prove it. So, and let's face it, this is wild, crazy stuff. Johnny Carson would say that our own government's trying to kill us, and for allegiance to an Illuminati, an invisible entity that managed to even kill a sitting president in JFK. But anyway, yeah, this is how stupid we are. They should have called a halt. They shouldn't have let that doctor go, and they should have engaged him and let him dump his information. And then, if you were a humanitarian was the word I was looking for earlier. If you would have then joined him afterwards, or in public, offered to join him in getting the word out. But I have at least 6 to a dozen other doctors, MDs, that say exactly what he's saying. Now they've joined together. They haven't saved us because it's already a fait accompli. After these 6 years, we're all infected. We're infected with COVID, but I don't think all the DNA is another issue that's just in the shot, as far as I can understand. So we all have COVID with chemtrails and coughing on each other and just living together in a society for 6 years. But the DNA, I think, is particular only to the shot. You get that good old COVID vaccine, man. How smart. Wow. You're going to be okay probably, right? No, you just got a 95% chance of having a DNA change, and you're no longer human. That's what he said. Am I yelling at you? Yes. I just shifted into preacher mode. I'm sorry about the yelling, but you have got to, come on. even what you've seen is proof that these people aren't awake. And they're university students, or perhaps faculty, doing this, having this speech here, or whatever, having this forum. If that's the cream of the crop, what's the rest of us going to do? I mean, we're still drilling all over our shirts. It's, you get my point. So there it is, a little bit of proof. I got much more to show you, and I'll probably do it this way. I haven't seen my little buddies lately to show me again how I can attach a video. I'll have to try to practice it on my own, but I'm so tired all the time anymore because of my health and age. And I want to keep making these. I don't want to spend my time and energy trying to learn and teach myself through, even though I was shown once, how to attach a movie and still film and watch it and stay here in the corner, So hopefully Alec or Stephen will come over, especially Alec. He's older and he knows, I think, a little more about this than Stephen, and help me out. You hear, guys? If you read this, give me a call. I don't want to disturb you all the time, but I'll probably be calling you tomorrow, Friday, since you didn't call me tonight. It's 8 o'clock p.m. here in the Pittsburgh area. Come to Christ, get saved, go in the rapture. I'm 95% sure, but it still makes it under the term if I'm right. But I'm 95% sure that because we know the time of Apophis hitting in 2029, April 13th, 2029, and Apophis, well, see, there's a chain. Apophis tells us what time it's hitting and what it is, and its size. It's a humongous stone. Apophis is a humongous stone. We'll move. It's going to hit the date and the actual day, April 29th, 2029. Okay? It's going to hit just off the Southern California coast. So it will be a ocean impact. It'll hit just in the Pacific Ocean. It will make a 3-mile wide, a 3-mile deep crater in the ocean. Okay, it will do more things, but I'll stop. It will also set off Yellowstone and all of the San Andreas fault line and much more fault lines. Okay. Now it moves up to here and turns out, Apophis is actually wormwood. So now we take all this information with us into the Bible under the term and name wormwood, but we're still talking about Apophis. The same thing happens to have, the same asteroids happens to have 2 names. It's the same thing. Okay, I'm Ken, I'm a Kenneth. But if you Ken and Kenny still fit, and it's still me as well as Kenneth. But I'm the same person by 2 different names. Well, that's what Apophis and wormwood is. Same thing, 2 names. But now we're into spiritual, biblical information. What do we learn from the Bible about this Apophis wormwood, starting in chapter 8 of Revelation? Well, in verse 10 and 11. Well, the Bible tells us it's going to hit. It's not going to miss. It's going to hit. So no matter what, there's no argument about that. This thing is going to hit the earth. Next one, it's going to kill 1/3 of the earth. Okay, and it's going to ruin the drinking water. A wonderful way to ruin water, standing or flowing, is to put ash on it, tons and tons of ash and dirt. Exactly what you get out of a humongous, super humongous impact from an asteroid and from a super humongous volcano like Yellowstone, so big that they call it a caldera. So that's your water's gone there, pal. And then it says, because of that, still in the Bible, the spiritual side, we learn that it will burn up. It'll ruin a third of the drinking water, and it will burn up a third of the earth, vegetation. Then, outside the Bible, we learned that a third of the earth happens to be the North American and South American continents. So if something like that's going to hit just off the coast of Southern California, America and Mexico are gone immediately. I have to put my arm down. But you see, this is called systematic deduction. I'm deducing things, and it's systematic, thought after thought after thought, connected. No breaks in the logic and in the progression of information. No, there's no jumps. There's no smoke and mirrors. You know that by listening. If you're paying attention, like most people don't, but if you're paying attention, you understand now. Between NASA and the Bible, we have quite a bit of information. We have the time, the place, and the size, and what it will cause when the impact happens, such as a 3x3 mile crater. Not 100 feet, a mile, 3 miles. 3 miles deep. It's going to put a lot of water and ocean floor up in the air. And then Yellowstone going off will put even more as a caldera stuff in the air. So by the way, we're going to have, if you survive that, even in Europe, you're going to have 10 years of nuclear winter. That is something that means you will never see the sunlight because of the dust and the crap in the air for 10 years. So nothing's going to grow, boys and girls. And that ash will fall on, fall on every nation in Europe. I mean, we'll get most of it because it's on top of us. But it's going to hit the stratosphere and start its blanket across the sky. We're not going to get sunlight. You can't grow food without sunlight. How are you going to feed the cattle then? Okay, so the meat goes. You get my point. It's the end of the world as we know it. I'm telling you this. No, I'm not forcing it down your throat. If it makes sense, then take it and run with the ball yourself. Do your own little bit of research or a lot of research. I don't care. If you don't believe me, then I don't care either. You've got your chance. I've done my duty. My duty is, and your blood is not on my hands. Because if you do not tell someone, and this is biblical, about something that will cost them their life, and you could stop it by simply telling them or help them protect themselves just through the passing of information, telling them, look, duck. That's what I'm saying to you right here, people, duck. And the only duck that'll work, by the way, to get out of the way, when someone throws a rock at your head, at your friend's head, and you see it coming, and you yell to your friend, duck! And they duck, and they don't get hit in the head and maybe killed by a big rock. Well, their ducking saved them, and me telling them to duck. Now, with what's coming, we can't escape. The only ducking and escape we have is through the rapture. Because first of all, we're at ground zero. This thing's so big. Yeah, we live on the east side, but let me tell you what, there's not going to be a New Jersey or New York, okay, because of this impact. Yeah, New York is in the Atlantic, But that tsunamis will be so big, it's going to wipe out Japan, all the Hawaiian Islands, and all the islands. And if you go online and bring up the pillars, if I can remember this, I'll have to print them out for you, but there is a Protestant church in New York. I have to pause this. I'll be back. I had to look this up. I forgot the name of the church. There's a church, I believe, in New York City. It's called St. John the Divine Episcopal Church. Now, if you really want to, you like being kind of shocked, huh? These are big deals. You won't be sorry or feel like you wasted your time if you just Google St. John the Divine. I believe it's an Episcopal church. Pillars of an Apocalypse. Anyway, I can't. Hold on. I'm going to pause it again and see if I can print it out so you can I can hold it up for you. Well, I think my pause is working okay now, and I'm using it. I just paused to go find and print out a picture of a church in New York called St. John's the Divine. I believe it's an Episcopal church. It's easy to look up because I just did to get these pillars to show you. So if you want to look at more of them, on YouTube under images, type up St. John's the Divine Episcopal Church or St. John the Divine if you want pillars. Now, since I can't work this better, I have to print it out and show you. But here it is. And I found a clipboard so I can more easier hold it up for you. Now, this shows you two things. I'm talking about the hit of Apophis wormwood in the water. Now, this scene here is the Twin Towers. That tells you how old these pillars are. And that the Episcopal Church knows about this enough to put them on their pillars where they are still today, to my knowledge. And look carefully. This is a tsunami taller than any building, even the Twin Towers in New York. Okay, and there's another one on another pillar that shows cars, like floating around in the sky, being knocked forward and ahead of these tsunamis. Now, where did this tsunami come from? Well, it seems the Lord's telling me, or in my humble opinion, I'm going to keep it up, actually. Nothing's that light. Wait, pause. I'll get something to rest it on. Okay, I'm back. I'm resting it on something. I want you to look at this as I'm talking. So Apophis wormwood is going to hit the Pacific Ocean, according to NASA, according to Neil deGrasse Tyson, who I consider as an unofficial spokesman for NASA. Not an official, and he doesn't even say he's an unofficial one. But see, we're learning on how the mystery of iniquity works. So he's giving us an education on Apophis. He's telling us the truth, except for one thing, that it will hit and when it will hit. See, Neil deGrasse Tyson, now this is in my humble opinion, has given us two dates. They say they made up a story. The story goes is the Apophis wormwood on April 13th, 2029 will pass by Earth very, very close. Very close. In fact, so close to the Earth, it will take out some of our satellites. And that's according to Neil deGrasse Tyson. He says that. But then he goes and adds on, but it's going to miss us. But if it goes through what they call a keyhole, whatever, a small area of space, it will certainly come back in 2036, 7 years later, and hit us. Well, this is designed, this two-date system lie, I believe, in my humble opinion, is designed to have us all out there like poor little dumb sheep looking up on their scheduled first pass of April 13th, 2029, going, whoa, you know, we're going to have our cameras out, we'll have telescopes out to watch this huge asteroid, quote, pass by, end quote. Not going to pass by. We're going to be out there in the military. We would, I'm not said exactly the same, but there was a term with our stuff hanging out, meaning exposed as can be, on that date, looking up, expecting this Apophis wormwood to pass. Guess what? It's not. It's going to hit. Now, if you're around the Pittsburgh area, we have got a pretty good chance, or if you're at the middle of the United States, you've got a pretty good chance of not seeing the impact immediately or a tsunami. We have the Rocky Mountains on the west coast that probably will stop the tsunami. And then on the east coast, we've got the Allegheny Mountains that might stop it as well. Because the tsunami and the water will come from the Pacific impact. It will be so great, these tsunamis will go around the world. Around the world. And look what the corrupt Christian church, parentheses, has showed us. They've known about this for decades. See, NASA's known about this for decades, or this wouldn't exist. Okay, I don't know when these were made, but NASA reports, and it's all retrospect, and it's hard to, if they redacted or edited when they really discovered it. But there's no way for us to know, because these, with the computers that are out, AI computers, they can scrub and clean any old back videos they want, including get rid of them. So fast it's not funny. What used to be a huge task is now snap of the fingers for AI. So look, that tsunami on the west coast, it's going to take out Hawaiian Islands, Japan, probably southern Korea, and probably the whole coastline, the whole west coastline of Asian coastline is going to continue, because the waters are all connected, and come over and go through the Atlantic with this kind up here. Let me point. With this kind of high tsunami. Now it's just not going to hit the Atlantic on the American East Coast, but it's going to cross over and hit Africa and Europeans' West Coast. So you can kiss the island of Britain goodbye, along with Ireland and Scotland, all islands. Bye-bye, bye-bye. Do you know how many people do you think this is going to kill? And because in one of their pillars, if I'm not going to bother with printing it out, because you can look it up like a big boy and girl. But you'll see autos floating on these pillars. There's several of these kind of pillars at St. John the Divine's Church. And you want to go there and look yourself and verify, go ahead. But see, this tells a lot of story for people who God gifts with a little bit of paying attention, deductive reasoning, and God-given insight. So this is a certainty. And this water is coming from Apophis wormwood that NASA says will miss us, but pass through the satellites so close to Earth on April 13, 2029. That's 4 years from now, guys. 4 years. Granddaughter, if you ever watch one of these, your child, my great-grandson, is a year and a half. Are you getting the idea of how fast time passes? That's my granddaughter. She hates me too. And they all do. Isn't that a shame? Except for one. Well, I don't think, I've got 2 grandsons, 3 really, but 2 used to interact, and I used to not babysit, but watch them for weekends and a couple of days at a time, maybe a week at a time occasionally. They would be here with my wife and I. And Bobby, and we loved and were a family together, but those 2 boys, and sometimes my granddaughter would stay, they all decided I was some sort of a ogre, bad guy, too complicated of a situation around me to bother with. My poor grandson, Blakey, you've got your hands full, and what's going on in your life now. Plus, all 3 of those children, my 2 grandsons, Ronnie, Blakey, and my granddaughter Hannah, after all, they all are orphans. I take that into account. They were my deceased daughter's 3 small children when she took her life. That's rough. But listen, guys, I loved you when you were here. And you got taken away through my son, who decided to be abusive, one of those abusive children to his adult abusive children to their parents. And you know, that's epidemic in the United States today. But the grandchildren did not take out on their own and return back to a loving grandfather, me. Sorry I brought that in, but I just talked to Blakey today, who's now watching these things. So I'm kind of talking to you directly, Blake. Now, I love you guys, you and Ronnie, and even Hannah, but Hannah's really the worst out of the 3 as far as hating me and showing me and saying bad things to me, not having any respect for me as her granddad who loved her. And you know, Hannah, let me remind you, you lived in my old home for free, you and your mom and your brothers. You understand, there was no rent, none of that crap. And I did my best at the time. Meanwhile, I've been having bad health for 30 years now. I retired at age 56, Hannah, because I couldn't go on anymore with all my medical conditions. I lost a great deal of my pension. And that's why the early retirement, I was forced into early retirement. So what do you expect from me, Hannah? I'm sorry, guys, I went off into my personal things, but I've learned that at least my one grandson who's been missing and has lately beginning to show up, called me tonight, opened scratched that scab open, emotional scab, and now I'm talking about it. Let's get back to this. Over here, this says a number of things. It says that St. John, the Divine Episcopal Church, is part of the occult. Understand? This is the best they can do. But they knew about it. And they're hiding it like it's been hidden. Now you find out these pillars predated 2004, which is the date that NASA claims they first saw Apophis. Then that's, NASA's lying, that they knew about it longer than this. You know, those new super duper telescopes attached to space vehicles and satellites, they're going out to look at Apophis. They've read its mail. Okay? They know its size to the nth degree and what it's made of, and therefore they can calculate it very close to its approximate weight. And, to do this in an adjoining ocean like the Atlantic Ocean, since it's hitting in the Pacific Ocean, it's going to even do this to the Atlantic Ocean. What's going to happen to California and Mexico? Remember, this is Southern California. Right below Southern California is Mexico. I mean, it's right there. And I think there's a lot of, I've never been there. I've never much thought about it. But I think Mexico's pretty flat. So goodbye, muchachos. Okay? Something else. I told you, the Illuminati's under Satan, and Satan wants to see humanity killed. Okay, well, you think the Illuminati's known about this. Satan could have known about this because from thousands of years ago. He could have known about this before Adam was made. Okay? Why? Because this is probably the result of a recurring asteroid that goes by, each time getting closer. Satan's a genius, makes the smartest guy on earth look like a piker, as we would say. He knows astronomy. Yes, I get that mixed up with astrology. He knows astronomy. He knows what's coming in. He knows it's timed. And now here's something, insight that, I'm in 41 minutes, but this is developed into too much information to just cut it off. Especially when I got this up. Satan knew when this hits in 4 years. And if it doesn't hit in 4, then in 11 years, because it's 7 years afterwards, it's coming by, according to NASA. I think it's not going to come by a second time because it's going to hit us the first time in 2029. But anyway, this is the end of the world as we know it, and Satan's going to piggyback on this because he has foreknowledge and he's preparing and to take advantage of this global catastrophe. It's not going to kill all of us. It's going to kill maybe a third of the world. If you check with good old Deagle, Deagel, Deagle tells us that this year, 2025, we're going to lose 2.5 million people in America. Just America alone. You get a little closer. It looks, you get old. My hand went to sleep and got stiff. Almost a bit. It's going to sleep and stiffening. Keep looking at this, folks. Ain't it something? Come to Christ. You're going to be stuck in this. When this hits in 2029, and I, in my humble opinion, man, like 90, to be truthful, I feel 98.9% sure I got it right and it's going to hit. I'm 1% not sure of it. Maybe it will hit in 23, but I don't think so. Or not 23, 2036. But I don't think so. Is it 36? 7 years later from 29. 36. 20. The second pass, they say, NASA says it's 2036. It's not going to get that second pass. We're going to be out there like dummies. Not me. I'm raptured out of here. And the body of Christ is raptured with me. All of us sinners saved by grace. Don't think I'm a good guy. I'm a good guy. Yes, people go. But I'm just a piece of dung. To be truthful, saved by grace. Now you compare yourself to God. Believe me, you go from nice guy to a piece of crap. God is so far up there. I mean, he's way up there. You're not going to get anywhere near him in heaven unless you have the same righteousness of Christ. And we do. We're as sanctified as Christ Almighty because we are in Christ. And the grace shown us is incredible the more you learn about it. I'm not going to go off on that track when I got this picture showing. You keep looking at it. I'm telling you, in 4 years, that's going to be New York. And one of the, quote, larger Christian, what a joke, denominations, the Episcopal, that's very liberal. I think they're both ordaining active homosexuals. and women. The Bible forbids certainly women being pastors, and homosexuality or sodomy has been forbidden for like ever. That's what happened with Sodom and Gomorrah. God's going, no. And they kept doing it and going, one of these things. No, you don't do that to God. And God said, okay, give you a warning. Gave you a warning. You got smart ass about it. I'm just going to blow you into dust. And it was probably an asteroid, believe it or not. It could have been something that, is it Kaminsky? The one that hit in 1908 in Russia, that blew all those trees down, didn't even hit the ground. It's an aerial burst. And I think that's what has happened to Sodom and Gomorrah. It was an aerial burst because it got a term. It has the term fire and brimstone. Well, that would be an aerial burst, I think, of a hot asteroid exploding before it actually hits. An aerial burst is a military term. Bombs go off in the air because they're more effective. They kill and do and destroy more than if they were blowing up on the ground or 10 feet in the ground after they landed and went in a few feet. And I'm telling you about this, boys and girls. I put it together for you by God's grace. I don't think I'm taking any credit. I'm trying to debase myself as much as I can. At the same time, you know what that ringing is? There's some sort of weather alert. That's my weather alert radio. Could be flooding because I haven't seen anything big around this area tonight. So I'm guessing flooding. It's been raining pretty good. Anyway, it was that got me to the computer, that got me to watching live radar, that got me to seeing the tornado coming right at us, and then opening up like a mouth of a big fish, and but not swallowing us, closing then after it passed us, then to go down the road a piece and take a roof off a house and knock trees and light poles over. It doesn't sound like much of a tornado, but to an old couple, under the right circumstances, I think it might have been sent for me, because it was extraordinary what God did to protect us. And that's kind of I'm kind of leaning on that kind of faith, based on experience now. I've experienced that kind of protection, to open my big mouth about the shot, okay, being deadly, about COVID being deadly, a bioweapon. Because I believe God will not let me take out. If he does, okay. But I don't think he is. I'm expecting to be out here a few months anyway, in the rapture. Between right now, but no later than the end of October, and I would say the 13th, or the end of Sukkoth, or Feast of Booths, this October 13th, the end of it. The end of it marks, in my opinion, as late as the Lord will hold their rapture off. Okay, so all on the information the Bible and NASA gave us about Apophis wormwood. Again, keep looking at this. And again, look over to my wheel. It's complicated. All those spokes, they support the actual conspiracy, that would say, or the issue at the center. And this is one of those spokes. Get the idea now? You're not going to hear things from me that are just, well, I don't think you will. I mean, there's going to be a few things, I guess, I'll say or claim that's very simple overall. But don't look for them, because I don't know if I have any. Everything I tell you, like this, that's a spoke. A spoke about what? About what's coming with Apophis wormwood. It's coming in 4 years and hitting the earth, killing a third of the earth. Again, the third of the earth happens to be Canada. Okay. Alaska, the United States, Mexico, and all of South America. Now, I imagine if you're deep in South America, you're going to survive. But see, America and Mexico, especially America, we're done. Okay, because Yellowstone's at the northern part of America, so it's further away. It's much further away from Mexico than it's in our nation, the southern part, northern part. So Mexico is going to take part of the blast, and the northern part of Mexico is just going to get creamed like California. And it seems to be a flat country that I can't say it. I'm showing my ignorance. I don't know everything about everything. Naturally, I don't. I can't even operate my own computer without neighborhood kids coming over and rescuing me. But you're being given a great blessing and advantage to watch what God has shown me, because He has. This is not some kook off on off on a narcissistic megalomaniac kind of escapade to make himself recognized in a big shot. I stay self-effacing because, in other words, I make fun of myself because I'm nothing, buddies. But I am, and I won't back down from saying it, I'm your messenger right now, boys and girls. Okay? It's late. It's late in the game. We're in the 9th inning here. And if you're not raptured out of here, if my timing is right, and the rapture must happen from right this moment, but no later than mid-October, 13th, let's say, of October this year, if you're not saved, you're going to be behind. You're going to stay behind. Okay? You're going to be in the tribulation. And of course, this, by theological experts, better men than me, have said this is going to happen in the middle of the tribulation. That's how we can tell you trib 7 years in length. If this happens in the middle of the tribulation, then it's 3.5 years in the tribulation. And we know the date of this. Okay, April 13th, Friday the 13th, by the way, 2029. 3.5 years. If that's the middle, then 3.5 years back in time towards coming back to today almost. We get sometime in late October. Well, there's a couple of major festivals and Jewish festivals in this October. The one I think is most apropos and is probably closer to the math that brings you back 3.5 years, brings you back to, like I said, this October. But the one, God does His major works often, if not always, to coincide with the feasts. And the Feast of Booths, B-O-O-T-H, like a little house or a little room or a phone booth, that kind of booth, is also called the Sukkot, S-U-K-K-O-T, I guess in Hebrew. But that's when they get out, Jews get out, and they put these little tents up in their yards, and they stay a night or 2 or 3 out in them at night. And then they go back in their house during the day, I imagine. But it's in celebration of their 40 years in living out of tents in the Exodus, and then 40 years travel in the desert before the Lord would let him find and go into the promised land. And that's what that Sukkot is. It's a feast of booths, feast of tents, let's say. And what's that have to do with Christianity? Well, it has a lot to do. I'm getting tired. kind of bent it. I can straighten it out. I'm gonna put it down. Straighten this out here a little. Well, see, we're the church is going in the rapture. Who makes up the church? Only born again Christians. Now you're hearing all this born again stuff. You don't even have to know what it is. You don't. But it does happen to you, to everyone who successfully decides they're going to trust in Christ, ask him to save them from their sins and hell and punishment. For the asking that he'll save you. And you trust in that promise based on the work of Christ for payment of the sins you've done. This is a personal thing. You get born again. Now, you don't, hear flowers or the trumpets rather, and angels singing. It's normally not dramatic at all. There's a change in you, but it can be very subtle. Some people get born again, not even know it. Actually, I'm one of those people. I'll give you my story. When I was about 7 or 8 years old, and I did it as a Catholic child. And Catholicism is apostate. And because it has altars, and it still sacrifices Christ at every Mass, across every Catholic church in the world, upon a freaking stone altar. But yeah, well, wait a minute. Christ's real altar was the cross, and he died once for everyone, for all. He doesn't die or need to die every day in every church, 3 Masses a day. I mean, what is that? 100,000 sacrifices of Christ every day? What did he mean when he died on the cross? His final words was, "It is finished." Catholics haven't gotten the idea because they don't want to. And it's really just the Rome of Church, or the Church of, the Church of Rome, like the Church of Ephesus, like the Church at Philippi, okay, or at Colossae. But it got infiltrated with a bunch of Judaizers, and that is a group of men, a type of men, of Jews, that are actually found in the New Testament, because they were a thorn in the side of Paul in most of the churches, especially apparently Rome, which was a great place to go if you wanted to infiltrate, take over, just like the Illuminati does, by the way. This is sponsored by the Illuminati even back then. Even the 2nd, 3rd century AD, they infiltrated the Church of Rome, the capital of the world, by the way, very wealthy, very influential, and because they already had 600-700 years of intrigue behind them in devil worship, and the devil helped them, of course, with finances, things like that, and hooking them up with other devilish people. They were able to infiltrate the Roman Church. And Judaizers wanted to go back in the Bible. They were told they wanted to go back to circumcision to being necessary, and keeping certain Mosaic laws, like don't eat shellfish, things like that, to make it necessary for salvation. That's changing the gospel. The gospel is offering the free gift of salvation, not keeping the law in any way anymore for salvation. You keep the law with, like the 10 Commandments and that, because you love God now, but not because you need it for salvation. That's mostly a subtle difference, but it shouldn't be. Think. If you're a thinking people and you're serious about religion and your faith, you would have had that figured out, especially if you're in your 40s, 50s, and 60s. So I'm talking to you Catholics right now. You know nothing. You know what? When you do your really eclectic Catholic Bible studies and hymns and stuff, even with a priest or a nun with you, they don't know anything more than you. Well, you know a little bit of Latin if you're a priest. You know all the laws and regulations of the Roman Church. You don't know your Bible. And you don't understand salvation as God presented it. So anyway, I'm going to pause for a second. Thank you, Lord. So let me summarize. Wrap this up. I'm an hour into it again. Yap, yap, yap. It's like the dike has been broken and you're getting a flood of my face, my words, and hopefully good theology and philosophy. Okay, I'm adjusting this. So in summary, you've learned that at least one main branch of Christianity called the Episcopal Church is demonic, certainly in collusion with Satan and the Illuminati. How do I know that? By their pillars. Okay, they're telling us what's coming. We just learned of it. In fact, you're learning more of it from me because it's rather new. And I'm giving you more insight than probably any other preacher out there. Because I think they know it. Some of them know it, especially like on Prophecy Watchers. But they're holding back. I don't know why. And they when they do teach, they teach on things that sometimes they take the long way around. I'm giving you a bunch of information stuffed in these videos. Okay, you're getting an education, and I'm giving it to you. But we've learned this then, summary, that the Episcopal Church, at least that one, well, I think you could say all of it, is of the devil. Yes. Now, what do you say? Do you think the Catholic Church could be? In fact, the Episcopal Church is very Catholic. Very, very Catholic in its theology and in its activity, very liberal. And they kind of look up to the Catholic Church, as the Lutherans do. I mean, Luther, I mean, he was hell-bent to straighten out the gospel in the church. And what the Lutheran Church has been so watered down since then. And I can't remember. I mean, are they still wearing cassocks and surplices and all that religious regalia that the Catholic Church priests do, especially Mass time, service time? I don't remember. I'll have to look it up. I'm talking to the Lutheran Church. They're Catholic wannabes, and they're at best they're soft. At worst, they're apostate. Now, since you're Lutheran, just look at your pastor and what he does, and talk to your pastor. Hey, what else is he doing? Fishing? Ask your pastor a few questions. What are the core values and the core beliefs or doctrines of the Lutheran Church? Okay. Now, some of it will be from rote and memory, but not from the heart. So you kind of keep that in mind too. You're going to get a little bit of rhetoric answer, possibly. I'm not trying to find fault with Lutheran pastors, but I am trying to warn you. You want to go to a Baptist would be a lot better. The Baptists have managed to keep their stuff together, and they have not slipped yet. Presbyterians, fine church. Reformed Press is fine, but they're preterists. They don't believe in the tribulation ahead of us, and that blindness is just incredible. That silly deductive reasoning that there's no tribulation, that the tribulation actually was the fall of Jerusalem in 72 3 AD. How can you say that when you've got Israel back in their nation? After 2,000 years, these bunch of Jews spread all over the world got back into their original country. Now, by the timing of it as well, you know it's supernatural. Why? Because the Holocaust just decimated the Jews and Judaism and ended in 45. Well, in 48, 3 years later, Israel becomes a nation again, back in their own homeland. They didn't have to fight for it. The world just came up and said, take it. And if that's not a miracle, or if that at least doesn't raise your eyebrow, there's something wrong with you. And then Israel's had at least 3 major wars against it. One of it was the day they became a nation. I mean, it's like before the ink was dry, they're getting attacked. And they had no standing army, nothing. It's a bunch of civilians and former military people that just happened to be Jews living there. They came out and they built, and a couple of million Jews, civilians got together, defended themselves against 140 million. I think Arabs, neighbors. And then there was the War of 67 and things like that. They should have lost. Jews are surrounded by millions, hundreds of millions more than they are in size. And these jokers over there, man, they're all they're up to their elbows in weaponry that they get from everybody. America, China, Russia, they got some good jets. I heard stories about their first war, Israel's first war, the day they became a nation, or the day after, that some Israelis were flying around in Piper Cubs, throwing bundles of dynamite down, dropping on targets. I mean, they didn't have fighter jets and things. It's 1948. They didn't have fighter planes or anything. Well, God put them back in there, and guess what? They're not going to be kicked out permanently again. I think they're going to get out when the Lord says, when you see all this happening, leave. Go to the hills. Don't even turn around, get your jacket, just go. And I that's another thing. But the summary is a Christian, established Christian church is easily understood now as being a fifth column within Christianity and the nation. It's of the devil. It's the Episcopal Church. I also say it's the Roman Catholic Church. It is. And they didn't start it all. The Illuminati Jews started it all during the Babylonian captivity about 400 BC. I explained that. Now, I'm not picking on the Jews. They are still God's chosen people, and don't you fight against Israel for any reason. If they're doing bad, stay away from them. Let God handle them. Not you, pal. You're going to hate the Jew now? What? You're an idiot. Not every Jew. I believe that Jews have their own their propensities. Okay? And one of them is the love of money. But so what? If you go after money in this world wholeheartedly, and you've got a few connections, and they stick together like glue, they help each other out, you get ahead. But it doesn't mean you use unfair and sinful tactics, maybe sometimes, but it doesn't mean that you don't use sinful and underhanded tactics. You're just people. And so, yeah, they're not saints. Heck, I'm a saint only in name, because I've been sanctified, set apart for salvation. That's why I go in the rapture. That's why if I drop dead now, I'm going right to heaven. I'm sanctified, put apart. I'm on that shelf that says, don't break. Handle with care. And what else did we learn? That Apophis, that you could learn things by observation, like looking carefully and trying to figure out what the heck is those pillars saying at St. John the Divine Church, Episcopal Church. They're saying something. They're saying a tsunami's coming. Coming where? Coming to our East Coast. And through New York, exactly. Well, where'd that come from? Well, now that we learned that Apophis wormwood is going to hit 500 kilometers, roughly, off the very southern California coast in the Pacific, it's so big, it's going to send tidal waves. So many, and by the way, tidal waves come and go and come and go, 9 times maybe? And so you're going to get hit by a tsunami, and then you're going to get hit by another one, and then another, and then another. And you're going to wonder, gee, I survived that first one. Well, you better get your keister up and go for high land, because there's several more at least coming of the same magnitude. Okay, because that's what water does. It's a ripple. It's a returning. Ebb and flow is a terminology that is, I'm sure, related to water. And so we know it's going to be a water event. Now, God said purposely, and let it be recorded, that he will never destroy the earth by water again. And of course, he did that very thing with Noah. I have, and good certain theologians believe that God had destroyed the earth with water at least 1 or 2 more times before Adam. See, the earth was up and running really good before Adam. But Adam was the first human being. I don't know what we had before Adam, but I suspect the Lord populated this earth with animals. Just like we see in the beginning of this video, we've got a monkey-faced chicken. It's not dead. I don't think it can see. It might be blind, I would guess. It certainly has a face of it, as all intact. I don't know if it can make monkey noises, but sure has the face of a monkey. And so, I don't know why I brought that up. It had a connection. I lost it. So that we learned, and it's coming. It's going to be the impact. The impact will cause a years-long nuclear winter, like the sun for years and years. It's going to cause tsunamis. It's going to go to the Atlantic even, and it's going to flood across Britain, Ireland, and Scotland, all islands. And over in Europe, you got a chance. You can leave those nations, those countries, before it hits, and head for the high ground, for the mountains, European mountains, and get higher than the water, because it'll be coming. And you also learn a little bit of how dug in the Illuminati is. There it is. They apparently own, part and parcel, the Episcopal Church. And of course they do the Roman Church. Roman Church is the big bully on the block for living for Antichrist. We got a completely different gospel. They have thrown away so much. You guys get on. You Catholics. I was raised Catholic. Once a week, me, my father, my sister, and my mom, we hit our knees with rosaries, baby. 10 Hail Marys, 5 Our Fathers, I'm going by memory, and a good Apostles' Creed, we said, for a rosary. That's about 30 minutes on your knees. But somehow Catholics don't see that as worship. And they say praying to Mary is just like this. Listen to this crazy, gutless, lying, stupid apologetics against praying against the second commandment about not having any graven images. And by the way, the commandments of God are really in 2 different places, and the first couple read a little bit different. And so just lump them together as they're traditionally called the 10 Commands. you put them all together and eliminate the repeats, and you're down to about 13 commandments of God. And that's not blasphemy. That's just something we're not taught. I've just learned recently myself. There's 2 places in Exodus that gives you, quote, the 10 commandments. Thanks, son. Anyway, I worry about that. Her house going. Okay. I'm not getting any stronger. I can see I'll need to care for her more and more. God will have to take care of both of us. I will not give up on any friend, and certainly not my wife. To the death. I will support her, and I will be. And if you're my friend, I don't fail you. I don't give up on friends. I've had them abandon me and become traitors and traitorous and backstabbers. Some good men, but Satan's powerful, and I use that Hebrews 13:13 reproach of Christ. I have it. I have the reproach of Christ, and it kicks my butt. I lose friends, family. I've lost my family. Five grandkids and 1 great-grandchild. They're all gone. And my own son, he's gone. He won't be back. But anyway, just learn. You start finding yourself getting disliked or accused of things you've never done. See, Satan can change the perspective of what's happening. And so your friends will imagine you did evil things or something bad or insulted them or blah, 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 and he'll do it and they'll believe it, and then that's the end of your friendship. Maybe the beginning of rather a bit of an enemy who resents that you did that to them. You did nothing to them. In fact, in my case, all I did was bless and help my friends. I'd give them money, sometimes secretly. I got one friend right now. His name is Gary. I believe I led him to Christ. I certainly discipled him, bought him Schofield, got him other books like Concordance. I taught him as much as I could, but he never sort of sat with me and learned. So it wasn't formal discipleship, but I sure helped. And I think, again, I led him to Christ. Well, Gary, the poor man, has always had an anger issue. And he told me, he says, Ken, I'm an angry man. 10 years ago, he said that. Gary's a little younger than me. Well, suddenly, he was just getting mad at me. And every time I would call him as a friend, he was talking to me like I just cursed his mother or something. And I thought I was just chalking it up. He's just an angry guy. And so I decided I can't take any more of his caustic nature, attitude. And so I didn't call him for like 6 to 9 months. And when I finally called him, he reluctantly told me he's stage 4 cancer. He's had all his chemo. He can't take any more. He's done. In other words, he's dying. And then he went from a husky muscular 180 pounds down to 130 pounds. So you know what all that means. But he wouldn't even talk to me after that. He broke it off. I called him after that, not right away, as men do. We don't call each other every day like many women do. But he would hang up on me. He wouldn't answer his phone. Then one time I heard the receiver get picked up, like that 1/4 inch, and then put back down quietly. He actually hung up on me. And through a friend, I heard he was mocking me. And it didn't break my heart. This is some of the reproach that you'll get. And so I spent years trying to figure out what's happening, why I'm losing friends all over the place. And I mean, they wouldn't. They'd never return a call. These are people that, heck, I loved as a friend, and I tried to do everything for them. It didn't matter. And it won't matter for you, my Christian brother and sister. Now Gary again started talking bad of me, hung up on me, and obviously he's angry with me. But that's, of course, he's dying of cancer, so it might have gone up here by then. But it's still, if his brain is suffering from any effects of cancer, I'm sure Satan helped a lot to get it started. Bring those thoughts into his head, I mean. Again, it's the reproach. You'll have friends and family reproach you. My family doesn't talk to me. They ask them why. And they'll, at best, well, none of my grandkids can give you a good reason. My granddaughter is the oldest grandchild. She graduated from high school and basically never called me, never showed any care to me and my wife, who are both aging. Hey, check in, see if I need something. We'll pay you. We'll pay her a lot. Or she can do it out of, if she wants to do it out of the graciousness of her heart. That's okay. But if you need the money, we'll be more than happy to pay you, and just give you money. I mean, a lot of money, not millions or thousands, but maybe 1,000. If you need help at our detriment, we'll help you. But not enough. She wanted to come live with me with a brand new baby. Illegitimate. She's not married. Her boyfriend's sticking with her, and he looks like a nice guy. But I said, her name is Hannah. I said, Hannah, you graduated at 18. Now you're 24 years old, or almost, and you want to come live with me. I said, Hannah, I don't know you. You've never called me or talked to me or offered me a lick of help or concern for your aging grandfather. Okay? And the couple of times you called, you showed no concern, even in those short phone calls. I can't have you living here. Now, if she needed a place, she could be here. I'm not going to turn my granddaughter out with a baby. And she does have her boyfriend in tow. And he's acting a good man, and he's staying with her. And apparently, I think he's being a good man. They're not married. I wish they were. And that brings up something else. Do you want to let your unmarried granddaughter move in for convenience and to save money with her baby and the baby's daddy? Well, I'd rather not. Okay, for religious reasons, really. But if it was a dire need, yeah, everybody in. Don't pay me if you can't pay me anything for even utilities. Don't worry about it. Get in my house. Get safe. Get okay. Not good enough for her. You can't see it, and it's not too much her fault, because what Satan has bring against me in the reproach of Christ is powerful medicine. It's powerful juju. And the whole family is gone. And 4 of my closest beloved friends are gone. And that's how it goes. Army buddies just quit taking my call. Even had his wife apologize in the background, or apologize on the phone. He won't come to the phone, she says. And but he won't tell me what I did wrong. I'd be glad to apologize. I don't think he knows, and these people don't know. My family can't tell you the truth of anything I did that caused this, because I didn't do anything. But somehow there's that click in their brain through Satan's power of thought, temptation, and I did. And they got to be justified, so they've got to say, well, he did this and that. Again, they can't bring up one instance of me that's true. And hopefully you're learning what I just said. You'll be running into this as you And this is going on forever. So take it in parts. God bless you. Trust in Christ as your Savior. Go in the coming rapture that's any minute imminent. And have a good night.